Okay, bike packing with your dog. I absolutely love doing this. There's nothing better than sleeping under the stars in the middle of nowhere with your dog, and your dog gets to enjoy this adventure that you're going on as well. However, before we go bike packing with our dogs, there is quite an element of planning to it. It's not so straightforward. We definitely need to sit down and plan our trip if we are going to take our dogs bike packing. Plan your days and mileage around your dog, not around yourself. Okay, so if you're going to have a big day, make sure that your dog is going to be up to that and that you can factor in things like plenty of breaks. Bike packing is not suitable for puppies. If you're going to do long distances, it's an absolute no-go for puppies. Wait until they're at least, I would say, 18 months old before you consider bike packing with your dog. Make sure you pace it, and again, you're pacing it for your dog, not for yourself. Okay, your dog's not going to be able to run flat out for 20 miles. Okay, so you might have to slow the pace down a little bit compared to what you would normally ride at, and also plan in plenty of breaks as well. Food and water. You need to make sure that you can take enough food and water if it's not available en route. And this is where things get a little bit tricky with bike packing, because obviously you then need to carry all of that food and water. You need to think about how are you going to carry your dog food. If you're away for 2-3 days, that's quite a lot of food that you're going to have to carry. Can you ensure that there's water en route? Is there plenty of places that your dog can have a drink? So these are all things that you're going to have to think about when you sit down and plan your trip before you head off. You could look at dog transport. I have seen people bike packing with their dog and they've got a trailer attached to the back of their bike. It's a really good way of getting your dog out and about with you. You can let the dog run for certain sections and then you can put them in the trailer for other sections. So for long multi-day trips, I think that's a really good idea. Also, it's extra space that you can pack dog food, etc., into that trailer as well. You need to think about sleeping arrangements. Do you want a wet, smelly dog in your sleeping bag with you in your tent after a day's biking? Probably not is the answer to that. So you need to think about sleeping arrangements for your dog. There are certain companies that make dog sleeping bags. We've got a couple of them and they're really good because your dogs can just curl up inside that at night. They're out of the way of yourself, and also you know that they're going to be warm and toasty in their sleeping bag. Weather. Avoid extreme weather. Again, when you're planning a bike packing trip with your dog, make sure that you do check the weather. I hope you would do this anyway, even if you weren't taking your dog with you. But make sure that you do check the weather, because if it's really hot, then bike packing with your dog is probably not going to be a suitable exercise for them. So check the weather before you go. Make sure it's suitable before you head off. Okay, what type of equipment then do we need to think about when we're bike packing with our dogs? So we mentioned it before, you're going to need food for the duration of the trip. You're also going to need treats for your dog as well. So make sure you plan that in, make sure you have enough for the amount of time that you're going to be heading out for. Plan your water. If it's not available en route, then you need to plan this. You need to ensure that you can stock up on water. If there's shops that you pass, then you can get water there, but make sure that you plan that you do have water available to you on the route. You could think about a dog backpack, something like this. This is really good because they can carry their own kit. One thing to be careful of though is remember they are dogs, they are not weightlifters, so make sure that you don't load your dog up with like 20 kilos of stuff for them to carry. So think about a dog backpack, but still keep it nice and light for them so that they don't have any problems running around. First aid kit, this is really important. You would likely take a first aid kit for yourself, but just make sure that it does have some specific dog elements in there as well. You do get specific dog first aid kits. One thing I would say in Scotland anyway, make sure that that first aid kit does have tick removers in it. We have a lot of ticks here. The sooner you get them off the dogs, the better. So make sure you've got things like dressings, tape, antiseptic wipes, and then tick removers as well. So just make sure you have enough for yourself and for your dog as well. Sleeping bag, we've talked about before. Here's a picture of one of the sleeping bags you can get. Again, really good. Keeps the dog out of your sleeping bag. And also, if it's going to be a colder evening, they can snuggle up inside the sleeping bag and they're going to be warm enough. Jackets, always good to take a jacket. Even in Scotland, in the summer, it can be quite cold. So we would always take a jackets or jumpers for our dogs. And normally at night, if it's not warm, we'll just let them sleep in their jumpers as well, just as an extra layer for them. Collapsible bowl, really handy for giving them water on the trail and also for feeding them. Our dogs will drink out of a water bottle, but if your dog doesn't do that, then these collapsible bowls are really handy. They're lightweight, they don't take up much space, and they're really good just for feeding your dog as well. Medication. The reason I've put this in is if your dog is on any kind of medication, I've done it before. We've set off bikepacking and we've got halfway through the first day and we've remembered that we don't have the dog's medication. Now, your dog could have epilepsy or diabetes or something like that, something that needs to be that needs regular medication. So make sure when you go bikepacking that if you're going to be away overnight that you do remember your dog's medication if they're on any. A bell. Now, some of you might be wondering, why does my dog need a bell? The reason we use them here is we have a lot of snakes, we've got adders, and also protected birds as well. So if we put a bell on either the dog's collar or harness, it means that the wildlife is scared away before the dog gets to it. Also, it's really good because you can then also hear where your dog is in relation to your bike. If they're behind you or if they've run off to chase after a rabbit, for example, at least you can still hear where they are. So it's quite a good tool to have, and it also obviously protects the wildlife. Leads, collar and harness. Just remember to take them, whatever you normally run your dog with. Our dogs don't wear harnesses, but they definitely have obviously got collars on. Remember your leads as well, that you might come across some places where you're either beside a busy road or you just want to keep better control of your dog. So remember to always take a lead as well. A towel, always handy, especially after a few hours biking. If your dog's wet or muddy, at least if you've got a towel, you can give them a rub down before they get into their sleeping bag or into your tent as well. So always handy to have. So that's the kind of bike packing equipment. It's quite a lot of kit to carry. I'm not going to lie, you almost have to take as much kit for your dog as you do for yourself. But as long as you pack your bike up properly, or if you've got a trailer, then it shouldn't be a problem to manage all of these elements that you need to take. The final thing that we've got here is paw wax. I don't know if anybody uses paw wax where you are at the moment. We use it all the time. It's really good just to protect their feet. We talked earlier about the type of surface that your dog's running on. Paw wax is really good just to act as a barrier. It can help just keep the paws nice and soft and protect against any abrasions as well. So it's always handy just to have that in your backpack. You don't need to take the whole tin, just take a little bit out and take that with you